Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello, my dear students, and welcome to the new English lesson for grade 8. I wish you a time full of joy and benefit. Our lesson today is going to be about, let's start, making or giving ideas, suggestions, and advice. So in this part, we will learn how to make suggestions and how to give advice using some expressions like had better, you could, and what about. Okay, let's get started. Here, advice with had better not. So look, had better and had better not. Had better is affirmative, while had better not is negative. Let's read. We use advice when the speaker thinks it will be a good for the listener to do or not to do. For example, your friend wants to lose weight and asks for advice. You can give him or her advice with one of these expressions. Let's see. Now, in the first picture, the speaker is giving advice to the listener. What does he say? You had better eat fruit and vegetables. Again, you had better eat fruit and vegetables. Notice, dear students, had better and then eat. So had better is used to give advice to the listener, and had better is followed by the verb eat. Eat is infinitive, right? What about picture 2? Here we should use the negative. The negative, we say you had better not eat junk food. So in this example, the speaker is giving the listener advice, and he says had better not here. So had better is followed by the negative form not, then the infinitive form of the verb eat. Let's continue. What about these two pictures? In the first picture, here we are going to give suggestions. What does the speaker suggest? He says, what about going for a trip? Again, what about going for a trip? Notice we have the expression what about, and it's followed by going, a verb with ing, and then the rest of the sentence. So we say, what about going, not go, for a trip? Picture 2, what does the speaker suggest? He says, you could play computer games. Notice here we have the expression could, and could is followed by the verb play. Play is what? Very good, it's the infinitive form of the verb. Let's continue. And now, suggestion with what about and you could. As you have just seen that we used what about and we used the expression you could. Let's read. We use a suggestion when the speaker wants to give a listener a new idea about something. As you have seen that we used what about and you could to give the speaker a new idea about something. And for example, your friend is getting bored at home and asks you for something to do. You can suggest an idea. Expressions to use with suggestions are what about and you could. Both have the same meaning. Both are giving the same meaning. They are used to give ideas and suggestions. Let's see. Okay, now we have more examples. Let's read number 1. You had better ask someone to check your letter before you send it. Again, you had better ask someone to check your letter before you send it. What have we done here? We used had better and then the infinitive form of the verb ask to give advice or make a suggestion. Excellent, to give advice. And then we completed the rest of the sentence. Number 2. Notice, you had better not go there alone. Again, you had better not go there alone. Here we have the expression had better, then the negative form of the verb not, and then the infinitive go, to say you had better not go there alone. So here in this example, we are giving advice. Number 3. What about meeting on Saturday? Again, what about meeting on Saturday? Notice here, students, what about and then meeting, not meet, not to meet, the verb ing, right? So, what about should be followed by a verb ing to say, what about meeting on Saturday? Okay, let's continue. Number 4, what about going to the cinema? Again, notice what about is followed by the verb ing, going. So, when we use what about, it should be followed by a verb ing. Okay, let's continue. Number 5, you could watch the football match. Notice here the speaker is giving a suggestion and he says you could watch. Notice could is followed by ing or infinitive. Excellent infinitive to say you could watch the football match. All of these examples included expressions to make suggestions and give advice. Let's continue. Okay, dear students, it's time to practice. Here we have an activity and we are going to choose the correct answer based on what you have just learned. Number 1, what about space some cake? Do we say eat or eating? What about eat or eating? Excellent, very good. We use eating. Why? Because what about should be followed by a verb ing. That's right, so we say eating. Number 2, you had better a dictionary for correct pronunciation. Again, you had better space a dictionary for correct pronunciation. Do we say use or using? That's great, we say use. Why? Because had better should be followed by infinitive. That's great. Number 3, you have to yourself when you are under stress. Again, you have to yourself when you are under stress. Do we say looking after or look after? Excellent, look after. So the right answer, look after, because have to should be followed by the infinitive form of the verb. What about number 4? You could space computer games. Again, you could space computer games. Do we say playing or play? That's great, we say play. Why? Because could should be followed by infinitive, not ing form of the verb. That's fine. Let's continue. So here we have another activity and we have sentences and each sentence has a mistake. We are going to correct the mistakes in the sentences. Let's read number 1. You look tired. You should having a break. Now, dear students, where is the mistake in this example? Very good, it's having. So what do we say? Having or have? That's right, we say have. So the mistake here is having and the correct answer is have. Okay, number 2. What about to visiting grandma? Where is the mistake? Excellent, to visit. What should we say? Excellent, we should say visiting. So the correct answer is visiting. Why? Because what about should be followed with a verb ing. Number 3, you could be playing tense if you are bored. Again, you could be playing tense when you are bored. Where is the mistake? Excellent, playing. What should we say? Play. Why? Because could should be followed by the infinitive form of the verb. So we say you could play tense if you are bored, not playing. Okay, the next example, you had better not playing with matches. Again, you had better not playing with matches. Where is the mistake, dear students? Excellent, the mistake is playing. What should we say? Excellent, we should say play, not playing. Why? Because had better should be followed by the infinitive form of the verb. And now, this is the end of our lesson. I hope that you enjoyed your time and learned. Thank you for watching.